Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pinnock. We got a lot of stuff to get to. The Giants have signed safety Jevon Holland from the Dolphins. QB watch continues. Really thought it'd be done by now. Greg Van Roten's back. Stone Forsythe is here. Talking Giants is getting old. I did a college film breakdown on him 4 years ago. And more. Justin, how we doing?
Bobby Skinner, getting a little excited about this Giants defense. Now, I know we're going to talk about Shane Bowen and how he's got to maximize some of these new toys and these new cats that he's gotten, if we believe that he can do that. But Jevon Holland's a really exciting piece for this defense. They're pressing spam on the backup offensive line depth, which, hey, you can't hate the process, but you know, this is the bottom three offense that we've had in the NFL. They haven't really added anybody new this offseason besides offensive tackle depth, but defense is getting fun, some fun names, and yeah, we're waiting on quarterback. Thanks, Aaron Rodgers.
Thanks, Aaron Rodgers. Jets fans should enjoy this, that like everyone's getting a know with Aaron Rodgers before he's even on their team.
Yeah.
So we're going to start with the Giants signing Jevon Holland, Justin. Before we get to that, this episode is brought to you by some special people. We got Landon Bryant. Actually, we did Landon Bryant on the last show. Landon, you get your name again. Mustafa Kantar, not Mufasa. Mustafa. Not Enos Kantar. Harrison Bryant. He actually just signed with the Eagles, I think, right? The tight end at FAU. Remember him, Justin? He got drafted by the Browns.
Yep.
And then Angela Dalmasi or Dalmasi. She will mace you. Justin, who are these special people?
Angela. Female. Woman.
I know. It's like the 0.01% of Patreon.
Welcome, Angela and others. Angela went to patreon.com/talkgiants for $2 a month plus some other tiers. You get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. Bobby was sending some stickers in the mail. And we do some shirt raffles about twice a month. Patreon.com/talkinggiants. Thanks to our patrons.
Glad you did. All right, so the Giants signed Jevon Holland, right? This is their second biggest free agent signing. 25-year-old safety from the Dolphins on a 3-year, $45.3 million contract, so $15 million per year. I mean, Justin, we'll break him down, but Jevon Holland's a really good player, right? Like, that was my first reaction when they signed. I was like, oh, wow, really good player. I mean, he's athletic, he's instinctive, he's, really versatile, he's got good ball skills, and including even, popping out forced fumbles. I want to see him get more serious about the mental side of the game. Justin, and we'll break down all of that and whatever numbers that go with Jevon Holland. But Jevon Holland's a really good player and gets added to a young Giants defense, another young player.
Yeah, safety is one of those positions where I feel like you got to watch the film, bro. You got to watch it. It's one of those positions where it's tough to look at numbers, especially when you have somebody like Jevon Holland who plays a lot of free safety. It's almost like you don't want to see him too much on your television screen, because usually if you see a free safety a lot on your TV screen, it means that maybe there's a wide receiver that's breaking free, running deep down the field, and that free safety is chasing them, right? Which is not something you want to see, or a running back that breaks one big. But Jevon Holland, like, the first thought was, first of all, like, really surprised. I thought the Giants would go after a mid-level safety like a Justin Simmons or a Jeremy Chin as like a, hey, let's take safety and, a position seriously, but while also adding like veteran leadership in here. And I think that was their goal in Jevon Holland, except we're getting a lot younger. Jevon Holland is 25 years old. He's had a C on his shirt and his jersey for the last 3 years in Miami, every year of his career besides his rookie year. So I like that element. I think he is going to bring leadership despite only being 25 years old. And Bobby, I think on a lot of people's free agency rankings, like NFL people's free agency rankings heading into this cycle, he's like a top 5, top 10 player that was available this cycle. Forget top 5, top 10 safety available, top 5, top 10 player. So I like Jevon Holland. We'll talk about the player himself, but kind of an unexpected move that the Giants made, but I'm welcoming it because now going from last year's secondary, where it is not a position of strength, it is a major position of weakness. I mean, dare I say that the Giants secondary is now a position of strength.
It needs a lot of development.
If they're healthy.
Yeah, and you need the young guys to develop, or the youngest guys there. We need Banks to develop. We need Drew to make more plays in coverage. We need
Shane Bowen. Also need Shane, which we will talk about. Also need Shane Bowen to trust in, like, hey, you drafted Tyler Nubin to be this guy. You signed Jevon Holland to be a versatile safety. You signed Paulson Adebo to be an aggressive man corner. So I know we'll talk about that element of it too.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about I have actually some notes in all capital letters about that.
Yes.
So when you see Jevon Holland, like I said before, you see athleticism, you see instincts, you see the versatility to, move him around the field. And then he doesn't have a lot of ball production, but he does have good ball skills when he's in those situations. But like I said, I want to see him get more serious about the mental side of the game. Like, you watch the best safeties in the NFL, and they study tendencies, right? Holland, I think, has been the last couple of years, at least, film I watch, is more of doing his zone, covering his zone, his man, or in man coverage, and covering it well, which he does a good job, which leads to not giving up yards. But I don't also think it's a coincidence the only interception over the last 2 seasons was on a Tim Boyle end of half Hail Mary on that Black Friday game against the Jets. Like, you just don't see like the mental advantage in his film consistently, right? Like, and then when you see that, he took swipes at Vic Fangio, and it was a part of the reason why Vic Fangio left in Miami, and we know the success that Fangio's found in the NFL, like, that's on there, right? He's only had 6 total pass breakups over the last 3 seasons, which is ranked 23rd and 33rd in that category. He's been 26th and 23rd in forcing completion rate, and then 29th and 36th in snaps per catch allowed. He hasn't been this great producer, but I do think he's done his job well. I think there's a reason why he's paid that type of money at safety. He's 25 years old. And I want that to be put on his plate to be used more in that, instead of just kind of play your zone or just play some man coverage. Like, put more on his plate because he's capable, and then him return the favor on that and look for mental advantages in offense's passing attacks.
Yeah. Before I get to some numbers, I figured I would give the perspective of a really good Dolphins account that I follow. It's Brian Catt NFL, does even a lot of good NFL draft stuff. So this isn't just a straight up Dolphins fan. He does some good draft stuff as well. I was actually on his show back in 2019. He was also on this show when, Bobby? He was on this show a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, I think he actually might have been on before that Dolphins 2021 game.
That makes sense.
On the show.
That makes sense. That's when we were still doing interviews basically every week.
Yeah, but, then I got COVID.
Yeah. What I asked Brian is, I saw like a lot of Dolphins fans specifically, and this is always a little bit of a red flag. When you see fans of an opposing team, when you sign their player, they're like, "Oh, thank God he's gone," or "Good luck with him." And I got a little bit of that, and I got a little worried. So I reached out to Brian, and I'm like, basically, his 2024 production was down, and it seems like 2024 was a down year. Why was 2024 a down year? And especially knowing that the Dolphins have had three different defensive coordinators in the last 4 years. So here's what Brian had to say. Holland is a really good safety who had a bad 2024 in Anthony Weaver's defense. The main 2 reasons, in my opinion. Number 1, he was playing in a more traditional zone secondary under Weaver, where it's a lot of 2 high safety only and can get pretty boring for a young pup. Makes me worried about Shane Bowen. Number 2, Holland knew he was going to get 15 plus million since the beginning of the year, so he might have been making some business decisions here or there, or it's just a coincidence that he had a poor second half of the season during a contract year. He's best playing in a defense that puts a high amount of responsibility on the safety's instincts, which Josh Boyer did in 2021 to 2022, and Vic Fangio did in 2023 when he played great. The lack of turnovers from him was a bit surprising, considering how much he was around the ball in 2001 to 2023. I actually have a stat to back that up. Overall, he's a top 10 safety if you're judging 2021 to 2023, who for whatever reason had a below average 2024. Hope this helps, and good luck. And it did help, Brian. So what's your reaction to that?
I think that all checks out. I think that, again, I'm not, Brian watches every game. I, pick a few games of film from the last couple of years and like break it down. I feel like that matches up pretty damn well with what I see. And that's why so let's talk about the Shane Bowen point of view from this.
Yeah.
Right? Because let's get to that, because I think that's when we talk about Holland. So Holland has, the last 2 years, has played deep 51%, box 32%, nickel 17%. And it's not just like a combo of those two. Basically, the identical numbers the last 2 different seasons. I have that same Yankees cup that you have, Justin.
Is this the game that we went to together?
I don't know if you got the cup
with
from
Julian?
there, but I have the cup from that game.
Oh, wow.
So, 50-50 down and then up, which is a great thing to go with Tyler Nubin, who, again, is another versatile safety, right?
Yep.
Last year, Nubin played 47% deep safety, 42% in the box, and then 11% at nickel as a rookie. So you have these two versatile players in Holland and Nubin. Use that. Please use that, right? It's one of the reasons I love Patrick Graham is what he did is he used versatile players and was versatile with them, right? I want to see disguise coverages, right? I want to see us spin the coverages, and you have Drew Phillips, bail out to a deep half, and then Tyler Nubin comes and fills that role, and then the outside corner fills, like, just do those types of things. Like, I want to see crazy rotations. Work to get turnovers and to get interceptions, and especially now that you have Paulson Adebo as a corner, like, take chances. Because what I saw last year, which I thought was an extremely bland defense, a defense that rushed for, that blitzed very rarely, and when it was, there was nothing unique about it. They played cover 3 and then cover 1 man coverage with moderate cushion, right? Not playing with a ton of cushion, but not playing press a lot. A defense that didn't do a good job to keep the linebackers clean in the run game. A defense that, basically the one unique thing about it was they stunted on third down. And then when that got picked up, they stopped getting the sack production that they got early on in the year. So I want Shane Bowen to change, right? And we've done these types of podcasts after draft picks and free agency signings just in the past. And when the Giants, get Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney, and you're like, Jason Garrett, change what you're doing.
Nope.
And it doesn't happen. You get frustrated. Like, that's the expectation, man. Like, if it's not, right, and this is still a bland defense 3 weeks into the season, like, I'm going to want Shane Bowen fired. And not after the season, like mid-season, because there should be more put on the plate of this secondary now.
Yeah, the hope is that it was a secondary that you didn't trust last year, where you're starting a nickel corner. You have a cornerback one that, I think clearly they possibly didn't even trust back then, even heading into the year. A cornerback, too, that was either Cordell Flott at 22 years old or a guy that they eventually cut in Nick McLeod, and a rookie safety in Tyler Nubin, and then Jason Pinnock, who was still, I think it was at that time, it was only his third year as a safety, like in his life, not just with the Giants or in the NFL. So that's the hope, man. But I'm not going to sit here and defend Shane Bowen and say that's the reason, because, like you said, we've been through this song and dance before where coaches and teams acquire players that say, okay, well, this should be like a sign of a change, and then a change just doesn't come. But with, like, the expectation now is you get Paulson Adebo, who has been in a defense that's had success and literally has a pedigree of having a lot of NFL success. That's what I like about these two guys in particular, Bobby, and adding these two additions to the secondary. Of Paulson Adebo, like, has the NFL background and a pedigree of being aggressive, and, like, that's what he does. It's not like we're hoping that he can do it. He's literally done it before in his NFL career. Same thing with Jevon Holland. Now, I do think that, like, the being a ball hawk and making plays on the football, like, he had 10 passes defensed in his rookie year. I think it's kind of gone down ever since. And here's a stat that I like to look at, and I looked at it from September 13th, 2023. It was an insight from Next Gen. Jevon Holland, as of early, this is week 2 of 2023, he's recorded the second highest ball hawk rate, 28.3% since entering the league in 2021. Jordan Poyer and Devin McCourty were only the two guys that were around the same mark for safety. So I do think since then, though, it's gone down. Now there's still some very impressive numbers, like even from 2023. Jevon Holland recorded a career low 5.5 yards per target this season. That was 4th among safeties. And then in 2024, even amongst a bad year, the lowest catch percentage over expected allowed, CPOE, among safeties, Jevon Holland had the 4th lowest amount at minus 11.7%. I think numbers for safeties can sometimes be like, well, what does it really mean? What kind of value does it have? Like the advanced numbers like this, but it clearly, I think it means something, because a lot of the best safeties in the league are also on these lists too. So, with Bowen, ask these guys to take a step up, right?
And I think the numbers do paint, like, those numbers do paint a picture of what his play in this film has looked like, right? He's been more of a preventer over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Put him in more of an attacking role, right?
Yeah.
Look, and again, put it on his plate, right? Like we need you to be more locked in, right? We need you to take the film room more serious, because you finding out those tendencies every single week of like, out of this formation, they like to run this play, and this is what the quarterback is reading. It can lead to 3 interceptions, which is, again, is like, that's a difference maker. That's a huge difference maker, right? Like watch Jesse Bates play ball, and he's not one of the best safeties in the NFL because of his athleticism, and he's got great ball skills. You can tell he watches the other team meticulously. He knows what they're running, so he takes chances, right? So there's times where if you look on a whiteboard, you're like, whoa, Jesse Bates totally out of where the free safeties cover 2 responsibilities. Like, yeah, because he knows what the plays are being run. Yeah. He knows what play is being run, and he's making a play on it. So I want to see Jevon Holland take a step in that area, and the Giants coaching staff to put that on his plate as well.
Yeah. And something that we had Nate Tice on this podcast last year, and he's the one that's like, I think Shane Bowen may be an innovator, and maybe that could still happen. But that was we kind of looked at him at that time when we interviewed him, and it was during the summer, and we're like, really? Like, you think Shane Bowen could be a little bit of an innovator in terms of defense? And I remember even you doing your live streams, Bobby, where, I feel like the constant theme of that Tennessee defense. Now, this is also with Mike Vrabel right by Shane Bowen's side, and also Jim Schwartz right by Shane Bowen's side for a couple years too, as he was like a defensive assistant before he went on with Cleveland. I felt like the safeties were kind of like the engine in that defense, outside of the front 4 and outside of the edge rushers that go and get the tackles for loss and get the sacks, right? But in the secondary, I feel like those safeties, when you were doing those live streams and when we were talking with Nate Tice, I'm like, oh, the safeties are going to do some fun shit. They are going to disguise stuff. We're going to see movement where Wink Martindale would do all that shit at the line of scrimmage. I expected to see all of that happen in the secondary this year. And I really do think, we're going to talk about Adebo and we're going to talk about Holland as the 2 free agent acquisitions. I really do think, Tyler Nubin is such a vital piece to how this defense could go this year, because I feel like this is why they drafted him. They drafted him to kind of be, you just mentioned with Jesse Bates, they kind of drafted him to be the guy that's going to learn tendencies, learn what everybody's going to do, and kind of put that expectation on him. So now that he's got this safety across from him that's going to have that same level of expectation, if not more, because Nubin's only in his 2nd year, but use these guys, trust these guys. And I feel like Nubin, especially even within that, you're trusting Tyler Nubin to maybe one day turn into a Jevon Holland type of player. That's the expectation for him. So let's go, man. I'm excited. I'm excited for this defense.
Yeah, use the 2 guys. Mike Garafolo just tweeted that the expectation is that Rodgers is going to join the Steelers. Not a done deal, but that's the expectation.
Yeah, I think that's been my. Oh, come on. I mean, that is my expectation, though.
Me too. Why don't you talk to us about something, and then we'll talk about the quarterback.
I will talk to you about something. Excited about the defense. Are you are you excited to watch this defense this year?
The run defense still scares the shit out of me.
Okay.
I think Jevon Holland.
Do you think Adebo? Do you think Paulson Adebo and Jevon Holland help in that effort, especially since we were talking about, hey guys, the secondary is part of it.
I think Jevon and Pinnock are similar run defenders. Which is not bad.
I think Holland may be a little bit better.
Paulson Adebo is not this ass-kicking run defending corner. And can I as much as we're like, oh, plug this player in, upgrade, Jevon Holland's got to do more, right? He's got to do more than what he's done over the last couple of years to be a real deal difference maker. And then Paulson Adebo, my favorite corner, gets turnovers. He gives up yards, right? So these aren't perfect players, right? And that's why they hit free agency. So I'm. And again, the youth thing, that doesn't excite me anymore. I think bad teams play young players because they're bad, right? I remember defending the 2019 defense of like, oh, well, they're so young. Look at they're the second youngest defense in the NFL to the Miami Dolphins. And then, that didn't really turn into anything.
Yeah, did you see my tweet from the other night? I guess I'll tell the podcast people. So I decided to do this, and Doug Analytics put a tweet in from January 9th. The Giants defense were the youngest defense in the league last year. So the average age of the Giants defense at the start of the season, I did by ages at the start of this season, as of now is 25.9 years old. And I included role players like Nacho, Chauncey Golston, and Cordell Flott. If you remove those three role players, the average age of the defense is 25.4, and the average age of the starting secondary is 24.4 years old. That is really, really young. So the youngest defense in the league, like if they cut Nacho and they draft an interior defensive lineman, then it's going to get like even younger, where I think that the average age could even go down to, it's at 25.9 right now. I think it may even go down to 25, depending on the draft.
The worry is that young usually means bad on defense too.
Right.
So now it's good, to sign young players when they hit free agency. But again, we need these young players to all develop. We need Deontay Banks to develop.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to us about something, and then we'll talk about the quarterbacks.
I will talk to you about something, and today's episode is sponsored by Hims. Men, life is stressful, and you have plenty to worry about without adding performance in the bedroom to your list. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hot and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. The process is 100% online, so there's no need for uncomfortable doctor's visits. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/giants. That's HIMS.com/giants for your personalized ED treatment options. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescription require an online consultation with the healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. You will be glad you did.
You'll be glad you did. Let's talk about the quarterback situation a little bit, because again, we should have resolution soonish. I mean, it feels like Rodgers is going to pick the Steelers, but I also think that no one really knows, right? Because Rodgers does keep people in the dark, right? But these NFL Network can't put these guys on TV and just be like, yeah, we really don't have a clue. But it's obviously between Steelers and Giants, and then the Vikings have become like kind of a dark horse of like Rodgers probably wants to play there. But they're visiting with Russell Wilson today. They hosted Joe Flacco yesterday. I mean, I'm at the point where I'd be surprised if Russell Wilson isn't the Giants quarterback going into the draft.
Yeah, I have tweets drafted of that. I'm ready for it. I don't love it, but think it's where we're at. And the more that Rodgers draws out this process, the more that I remember, like, hey, maybe this guy will actually be a fucking headache. And there's a reason. Maybe there's a reason why this whole Jets thing failed, and he's a big part of it, because making things about you and save me the whole, well, the whole future Hall of Famer can't have 2-3 days or to figure out where he wants to go.
So much time.
The Jets gave him permission to talk to teams like over a week ago, and it's been these two teams. And I don't think the Vikings are going to come out of nowhere and do this. I don't think that's going to happen. It's been these two teams. It's only been these two teams. Like, let's go, man. I think these teams deserve to go forward in their offseason to figure out what the fuck they're going to do.
And that's where it's like, damn it, I felt I got the award for Felford again.
Yeah, shame on me for thinking that after the disaster these last 2 years have been. Shame on me for thinking that maybe, just maybe, he would come to his senses and do something not for himself. So, hand up, left hand up, who are we, the Commanders? Shame on me for that.
Yeah, hey, it's same for me, right? I was like, there's going to be headaches, but hopefully there's some humility through the process. And it's
a headache before he even gets on the team.
Yeah, so I think he's going to Pittsburgh, probably waiting for. Can I tell you something though? Everyone's like Pittsburgh's the best fit, and I think you have that defense
awesome.
And Mike Tomlin, so you have stability. He won't get benched there. Can I tell you? I kind of would, if I was just playing quarterback for a year, I would actually pick the Giants over the Steelers.
Yeah, Brian Dable. I understand the Giants situation isn't isn't great, but if I want to go to a situation where with a play caller and schematics, I'm giving Brian Dable a little bit more credit, and Malik Neighbors is sick,
Yeah, but anyways, it is what it is.
The Giants may have a better offensive line than Pittsburgh. Maybe
they lost. I mean, they lost. They lost Dan Moore. They lost the other guy. Forget his name. Now they got some rookies or young guys that
that are developing. Yeah.
But we'll see with that. But they hosted Joe Flacco, which is I think that's a break in case of emergency. If Russ actually did be you know what, I'm not going to the New York Giants. I'm going to go to the Browns or whatever else. Or Rodgers retires and the Steelers pivot, or Rodgers goes to Minnesota. So the Giants are in Russ, I think, is their plan C. And they're hoping they don't have to get to their plan D, because plan A was Stafford, plan B Rodgers, and then now I think they're on to plan C Russ. But I'm expecting Russ to be the quarterback. I thought that was the third best option in free agency, with Rodgers being 1, Justin Fields number 2, and then Russ number 3. But hey, I mean, like you said, I got stuff drafted too, right? He's not just he throws a good deep ball. No, he actually gets consistent success throwing the ball deep down the field, over even when he's been a bad quarterback. So
he's good in the intermediate part of the field too. It's just the quick game stuff is not fun. That's where it gets to not fun stuff. And
he doesn't throw over the middle of the field at all either.
You eliminate parts of the field, which is also not fun. And you're going to take a lot of sacks and a lot of QB-owned pressures, which on a Giants with offensive line questions and especially interior questions, and the health of Andrew Thomas always up in flux, that's the shit that I'm not looking forward to. Is a sack kind of ruins a drive, and then that's it. And that's what I feel like Russ may do to himself a little bit. But hey, Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton, and Malik Neighbors, get ready to run a straight line near the sideline, because Russell Wilson's going to throw it up well for you there.
Dude, legit, Jalen Hyatt does, I know I've been pretty anti-Jalen Hyatt. He does get, a little bump in value if Russell Wilson's the quarterback.
100%.
So let's talk about the Giants' other moves, Justin. We got Greg Van Roten and Stone Forsythe. Where do you want to go first? You want to go with the new guy or the old guy coming back?
No, let's go to Stone Forsythe first.
Okay. Stone Forsythe. The Giants signed a 1-year vet minimum contract with Stone Forsythe, 6'8", 307-pound, 27-year-old offensive tackle. Started 13 games the last 2 years for the Seahawks. So I thought Stone Forsythe was better than what he was. And then you see the number profile and you're like, oh, not there. And then you watch the film and then I'm like, okay, it's somewhere in the middle. So he played fairly well against the Giants this year, right? Brian Burns got him a couple times, but he did a pretty damn good job against Brian Burns for a swing tackle, right? Not as a starting tackle long term, but as a swing tackle. And then the Lions and the 49ers just abused him, right? You see in those 2 games, he gave up 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, and 19 pressures. But then, Justin, I popped on the film with Stone Forsythe, and I wanted to kill Ryan Grubb, the Seahawks offense coordinator. I hate him, by the way. I'm so glad he's out of the NFL. There's some good play design I saw from him earlier in the year where I was like, oh, I like this. When you watch him just throughout a full game, I hate him. I'm so glad that he's not in the NFL. He doesn't belong in the NFL.
Yeah, I think Geno Smith led the league in pass attempts this year.
Yeah, they didn't run the ball at all. And Stone Forsythe, who was their backup offensive tackle, he was 8th in the NFL in island rate, meaning no help. Absurd. And you're like, oh, well, maybe it's just because it's small sample size and the matchups they play. No, just the Lions were lining up Aiden Hutchinson in these wide alignments, and just leaving Stone Forsythe on an island as they passed the ball all game, deep passing attack. And Aiden Hutchinson's just getting full go. Just I can do whatever I want. I'm going to bull rush him or I'm going to speed rush around the corner, no matter whatever way. And again, Forsythe isn't good, so Hutchinson's going to do that. It's not a defense. It's not this full defense of Forsythe, but I came away hating Ryan Grubb and his offense. Go back, good luck in Alabama. But let's talk about Stone Forsythe as a player. Obviously, the stat profile isn't good. He's kind of similar to what he was coming out of college with Florida. He's stiff. He's not the most fleet of foot. But what I do think he does have, Justin, is good technique. And good technique at 6'8", 310 pounds, Justin. That means he also has length and some natural strength in there too. And I think he does a solid job most of the time, right? Unless he's, put in these bad situations. Like, he does a good job. Go watch him against Brian Burns, right? He looked pretty solid against Brian Burns. Again, as a swing tackle, right? Where it's just like, he gets to his spots and he gets hands on you, right? Now, he uses a two-handed punch, which great pass rushers are going to take advantage. So, I know this isn't this big, Forsythe is actually good. I do like him better than James Hudson from the Browns, the Giants signed, but I see why Hudson has, a bit of a higher ceiling with his quick feet. But for a vet minimum contract, like, I think this is totally fine, and I think he should be in the battle for the swing tackle job.
They gave him a vet min?
Yeah, a veteran minimums contract.
Okay.
So they obviously view James Hudson better because they gave him a lot more money. And actual money too. Like, we've gotten the details on that contract, and it's not fake, right? If they cut him after next year, they would give him $6 million for 1 year of play. So yeah, I mean, I think Forsythe is a little better than what the stats say. Not as good as because when I first saw it, Justin, I was like, there you go, there's swing tackle. And then it's like, oh no, that's why I remember him fondly, because he did fairly well against the Giants. In pass blocking efficiency, out of 88 offensive tackles, Forsythe was 85th. Now, James Hudson was 78th. Chris Hubbard, 88th. I also thought this was funny, Justin, because, we don't use PFF grades. I've never used it for a take one time in the history of Talking Giants. This is a fact, by the way. Like, are we the only... Can I ask you something? What percent of shows that have been around for... Let's even lower the bar. 3+ years... have never used a PFF grade for a take?
I think I've mentioned it, but never to affirm something.
Yeah, but I just did find it was funny that the grades of 88 offensive tackles and pass blocking, the Giants now have 4 players in representations in the 80s of Hudson, Forsythe, Neal, and Chris Hubbard. Chris Hubbard's not here, but I just thought that was funny. It's like, yeah, we got the 80 through 88th ranked guys set. So, again, Forsythe, like I said, stiff, not the most slow to feet, but he's got good technique. He's got good length. If you're going against mid to bad pass rushers, I think you can put him out there. If you're going up against a really good pass rusher, you're going to have to give him a lot of help. But I think you can get by with him as a swing tackle.
Has swing tackle been addressed? And, you have that line, right?
I think it has been addressed, but it's not the best answer. But also, it's the age. Like, you're never going to be super happy with your swing tackle.
And that's my rebuttal to you. That's my I
think Forsythe is fine. I think Forsythe is fine. James Hudson, I don't love at all. Because I think he's so weak in the run game. I think swing tackle, you at least need to be a neutral in the run game, and I don't think Hudson is that. Forsythe isn't great in the run game either, but he's a lot better than Hudson. Again, it's a vet minimum. He very well may get cut, right? And we just did this whole segment on him, but yeah, it's the type of vet minimum I like. And Justin, I did a draft. He's the reason why I didn't want Azeez Ojulari at 11th overall.
Yeah,
like that film was. There's obviously not the only, but that film was a major reason. I was like, what is this guy going to do against length that has good technique? Like, he was a major reason why I didn't want Azeez Ojulari 11th overall.
So, since we recorded this, you actually did a James Hudson film breakdown, and like you mentioned it, like they gave him legit money, and I actually didn't see the contract details of Forsythe. I'm surprised to see that it was just a vet min, which does make me think like, hey, there is still Evan Neal and Josh Azudu on this team, and I don't think they're going to be cut. So
I think Neal's going to guard.
I don't know if everybody is actually going to make the team. Like, more like they're bringing the whole band back of Stinnie and Greg Van Roten, and I love it. Like, let's bring in a lot of vets, and let's make sure that depth is fully fixed, even if the ceiling isn't great. At least the depth is good. Have you changed the tune on James Hudson at all? Because I will say, man. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, hit the weight room, bro. Like, the strength.
No, I think he's really bad in the run game, and then the pass block. I mean, he's right in this neighborhood of Forsythe and Chris Hubbard statistically, and I think his film is maybe slightly better than Hubbard. Like, again, I think there's some ceiling there. Like, maybe.
But I think the foot speed
eventually.
I think the foot speed's legit though.
Sure, but so is Josh Azudu's.
Not a tackle.
Josh Azudu has tackle foot speed. Again, the Hudson signing I hate. It's the only signing I really hate. Roy Robertson Harris. I hope the plan is not for him to be one of the top 4 defensive tackles. So if he's not, then fine. But the Hudson contract, I'm not coming around on. Yeah. And again, unless he totally develops, then I'll take the L happily.
Right.
Justin, let's talk about Greg Van Roten.
Yeah.
Giants brought him back on a 1-year deal. We don't have the details on the money for the 35-year-old guard to re-sign with the Giants. We talked about him on the pending free agent pod, and I thought he would wait a bit to find himself a place where he's got like a great spot to start. Which, hey, maybe that actually is the Giants right now because, they paid Holland. They didn't get, the big money guards. There's some out there, but I don't think they're going to make that move. I like bringing back Greg Van Roten, Justin. He didn't miss a snap for the Giants last year. I think he's a middle-of-the-road pass blocker. He doesn't make any mental mistakes. I think he's a better run blocker than John Runyon.
Yeah.
The numbers and the film, I think, match a middle-of-the-road guard. He gets to stay home. He's a Long Island guy, and I think that actually was a part of the reason why he was quick to sign with the Giants. And if the Giants don't get a big money guard, that was actually something that was like kind of rumored for the Giants, like all pre-free agency, which if they would have done it, let's do it. But I also wasn't like pounding on the table for that because invest in the draft, right? And they don't need to plug, like if they draft a guard in the second round, right? Marcus Bo, check out the film breakdown on Bobby's Breakdowns, or someone in the third round. They don't have to start right away, right? Like because the Giants have been so bad, it's like any rookie taken in the top 100 is immediately a contributor to the team. Like they don't have to start right away, right? They don't even have to start the whole year, So like I think Greg Van Roten is the type of nice deal to do with that. Now center's still a question mark for the Giants. I think they'll probably roll with JMS, but I like keeping Greg Van Roten around, right? He's 26 of 57 guards when left one-on-one and pass blocking efficiency. He's 36 out of 57 in total. Him and Runyon are actually tied in that. Like, I think he's a middle-of-the-road guard, and he's being signed to an extremely cheap deal because of his age. So I thought that – I didn't think that he would come back, and if he did, it would have been, closer towards training camp, but glad they got Van Roten locked back up.
No, I like it, and I like that, selfishly, I like that we're not waiting on it and – going into the draft being like, oh, the Giants really just didn't address guard at all. And do you really count this as addressing guard? I think you, in the best case scenario, you think about it addressing depth, or if they draft somebody, then like
they need to draft somebody. No, let me rephrase. If they do not draft somebody in the first 3 rounds, hell, even I'll throw in that 4th round pick. It's so high.
Yeah,
if they don't draft a guard in the first 4 rounds, then they really didn't address guard this offseason.
Yeah, I agree with that.
5th round picks do not count as addressing a position for me. They're swings.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They have not, and it'll be in the draft 2 years in a row, and then free agency last year they obviously brought in John Runyon, and then Greg Van Roten late into training camp.
What they're doing with the offensive line as of right now is they're increasing its floor, which finally.
They're keeping the floor the same because it's all the same people.
Well, so they've brought in 2 new tackles, with Forsythe and Hudson.
I don't think the floor has been increased. If you get 2 tackle injuries, then the floor has been raised. If they get 1 tackle injury, I still think if Thomas gets injured again.
Oh well, yeah. Andrew Thomas can't.
Okay, if Jermaine Eleanor gets injured again, I don't think the swing tackle spot is in a much better place. Like Chris Hubbard, we joke about Chris Hubbard was actually a legitimately really good run blocker.
But he was the worst pass blocker in the league.
Agreed, but I don't think these guys are leaps and bounds, not even a bound or a leap better than Chris Hubbard in that category.
I think it's more.
So I don't think the offensive line has improved at all. Like I'll say that.
I think it's more or less just a lack of offensive line depth in the NFL. I think honestly that's what we're getting into.
Okay, but I'm saying invest in that position in the draft, right? Yeah. Invest in that. You didn't last year. You're the only team in the NFL to not draft a offensive lineman or defensive lineman in the draft last year. Invest in the NFL draft. Yeah. Find a guy you like and address it. But I like bringing back Greg Van Roten. It's again, everything becomes a think piece and stuff, but there is a little bit of like, man, do they really just think that's what it is? Is they're just simply a quarterback away, right? Like, do they buy that? Like, hey, this offensive line is fine, right? We don't really need to address offensive line.
There's been no new additions on the offensive side of the ball yet this free agency period. And listen,
no starters,
You're gonna build through the draft, and that's how your team is really gonna be built. So I'm not gonna sit here and panic and criticize them yet over this, but it's you have a bottom 3 offense and you haven't added a single new starter.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, is quarterback really gonna elevate you that much?
It'll elevate him quite a bit, especially end of year, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's going to elevate them quite a bit. Actually, well, we'll see who they get at quarterback. If it's Flacco, then no.
No.
But like, I think we are getting close to the, like, again, we'll do our quarterback draft preview in the first episode of April. But my Shedeur thoughts are out there. We are getting close to Shedeur is the best option for the 2025 New York Giants.
Terrific.
Like, we're getting very close to that.
Can't wait for him to not be the best option for the 2026 Giants.
We'll see. Justin, the Giants also brought back Ihmir Smith-Marsette. Love bringing back this signing, and he also shared a video of him, working as Lamar Jackson as a scout team quarterback, threw a touchdown. They did a good job hiding whatever corner gave up that touchdown. I remember we were playing some random guys in that Ravens game. This was the easiest re-signing ever. I mean, the first kick return touchdown the Giants have had since Dwayne Harris against the Cowboys. He also had a punt return touchdown against the Saints that was taken off the board. Giants would be picking 6 if that wasn't called back, probably. He ranked first in kick return yards per attempt for guys with at least 10 last year, the 10th most punt return yards, only 1 fumble in the season. Local guy. I mean, bringing back Ihmir Smith-Marsette was the easiest decision of the offseason for the Giants.
Yeah, let's not spend any regular season games where we're worrying about losing a game because a guy can't catch a kick. Great.
Yeah, like he's a legit returner, and keep him here. Like, let's get him in that longest tenure discussion 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah, Dominic Hickson, here we come.
Here we go. So glad Ihmir Smith-Marsette is back.
Dwayne Harris.
Aaron Stinnie is back, Justin. The guard who started 3 games for the Giants last year. Actually did a film breakdown of him in free agency last year. Came over from the Bucks. Not a good guard, but a fine backup. Aaron Stinnie's back.
He may not make the team.
Yeah, he may not. Like, that'd be awesome if he didn't make the team, honestly. I would love that, right? I would love that for Aaron Stinnie to not make the team. That's it for the additions, right, Justin? Jason Pinnock went to the 49ers. Adoree Jackson went to the Eagles. Can I say something? Has there been, like, a less badly talked about player than Jason Pinnock leaving, right? Where there's not even, like, people like, oh, good, he's gone, or, I wish he was here. It's just, like, the most, like, hey, man, good luck.
Yeah, it's been nice.
There was no takes. It was just, like, good luck. Good luck, yeah. Jason Pinnock. I obviously would have liked him to come back as a depth piece. I think
the 49ers need him.
Yeah, I don't know what the 49ers even offered him, to be honest. So, again, I would understand why he would pick the 49ers over the Giants.
If he got more than $2 million, I would be, okay, go.
I don't think the contract is out there. I'm looking it up right now. Jason Pinnock contract. It's a 1-year fully guaranteed contract, but
okay.
Yeah, there's no.
That would have been a sick safety room. Like your 4th string being Dane Belton, who, like, his thing is, like, he just comes in and forces a turnover. Like, okay, that's sick.
Yeah, I would have loved to have Pinnock back and do some 3 safety looks. But then
the safety room is done. Like, we would automatically get it right for our 53-man roster. Like, okay, there's 4 of them, and here are the 4.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, safety has now become the least important draft preview of draft month for us now.
100%. Will it be the? I think
it'll be like the 4 of them.
It'll be tacked on with an interview.
Yeah, like it'll be. We'll talk about 4 safeties.
And then
which is
interview.
Sad because I love finding safeties. It's a watch the tape type of position.
It's a watch
Billy
the tape
Bowman Jr. will be one of the safeties we talk about.
It's a watch the tape type of position, and also it's just a lot of fun to watch guys. Safety's like, I'm gonna go and fuck someone up. And, like, yeah, that's a lot of fun to watch.
It's very much of, like, what's your type of flavor position, right?
Yeah.
So No, Jaden Hicks takes this year. Adoree Jackson went to the Eagles 4 years later. Remember when he was going to go meet with the Eagles and he decided not to stay with the Giants. Contract worked out for the Giants.
Did
one of the rare contracts. It's like, oh, that worked out.
Stayed here for all of it and then some.
Yeah. Anything else, Justin? Before we roll?
When will Russell Wilson be a Giant?
Yeah, I'm really not wanting to do a Saturday episode. So if they're going to do it over the weekend, let's just make it Friday. We'll record on Friday, and that'll be it.
You're gonna do a Russ film breakdown?
Yeah, I'm going to start watching film tomorrow.
You're gonna go back to Denver stuff or just do Pittsburgh?
Just do Pittsburgh.
Okay.
No point of going back to Denver. It was toxic there.
No point of going back to Denver.
All right, that's an episode. We will see you guys whenever the Giants get a quarterback, most likely. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.